most famous party on the planet, Mardi Gras. It's wild, wacky, and sometimes rated X. But there's a haunting side to the city that most visitors don't know about. In the Bourbon Orleans Hotel, a Confederate soldier keeps everlasting watch. On the bayou, ghostly pirates stand eternal guard over stolen treasure. At the Myrtles Plantation, phantom children have run of the house. In the French Quarter, on the Mississippi, at the theater. Find out if there really are ghosts in this city on America's Most Haunted Places. New Orleans is famous for a lot of things. Its music, its food, its finery, and its swamps. Locals call them bayous because the city is below sea level. There are plenty of them. Author Victor Klein believes that ghosts and water go hand in hand.
One of the things that goes towards explaining why New Orleans would be a particularly haunted place has to do with water. And it seems that a lot of researchers have come to find out that places that are surrounded by water somehow contributes to this very bizarre phenomenon that we call ghosts.
Just west of New Orleans is an eerie place called Manchac Swamp. It's a typical Louisiana bayou. Cypress trees, deadly alligators, poisonous snakes. Manchac Swamp is also a wildlife preserve that's open to the public and daily tours. One company, Cajun Pride Tours, runs a 2-hour boat trip through miles of dense swampland. They offered to take us on the bayou at night to show just how dark and spooky it can get. The ride was going smoothly until the boat lost steering for some unknown reason.
Gotta be the ghost of the swamps. It is spooky, huh? Why did we lose steering? The steering's been fine for months.
Oddly enough, the steering couldn't be fixed. The crew called for a second tour boat. Then we headed out to a remote location where a mysterious glow has been reported at night. It's called the Feu Follet, an eerie blue light that appears out of nowhere through the cypress trees.
The Feu Follet, or blue light, is a Cajun legend. It is believed that the Feu Follet will lead you to the treasures of Jean Lafitte.
Jean Lafitte was a famous pirate in New Orleans history. It's believed that he hid stolen treasure throughout the woods surrounding Manchac Swamp. Like many ghost stories, this tale takes a violent turn.
Every time he would bury a chest of treasure, he would kill one of his fellow pirates in order that the ghost would guard the treasure forever.
Locals told us that treasure hunters have followed this light into the woods and never returned.
I've always heard stories about different things happening in the swamp, people disappearing.
It could be that the ghosts of the pirates are actually doing their job out here.
The buried treasure has never been found, but many are convinced that the Manchac Swamp has its share of ghostly spirits. Chris Smits is the owner of Cajun Pride Tours, and does he have a weird ghost story? Early one morning, when it was still dark, Chris was duck hunting in the swamp.
And as I was going through the swamp, I came across this, what I thought was a hunter, so I excused myself. I said, I'm just passing through. I'll be out of your way in a second. And I noticed that he didn't answer me. He kind of shocked me because all of a sudden there he was. So I moved on a ways, and next thing I know, he's standing next to me again. Well, it really startled me this time, so I looked back, and he was just looking at me.
To make matters worse, this eerie phantom was missing body parts, not something you want stalking you in the middle of the night.
It was a weird sight. I mean, I remember everything about him but arms. I don't remember any arms at all.
The third time this happened, Chris shined his flashlight at the stranger. The stranger had vanished.
In reality, you know, it was out there, whatever it was, followed me around the swamp. I was glad to see sunlight come on.
During the day, the Manchac Swamp loses some of its more haunting qualities. Tour guides like Captain Wildman entertain visitors with all kinds of information, like how to feed an alligator called Easy.
Easy! Let's see, buddy. Come on. See? He didn't want us to be around it. Everyone's watching me.
And for those who like their wildlife up close and personal.
Hold on, one never stop. I'm gonna take him out, let you hold him, let you take a picture with him, see what it's like. No, I'm not gonna pass him around with a bottle of hot sauce. Forget about it.
There's one more ghost story in the Manchac Swamp that's rooted in history. In the mid-1800s, German immigrants settled in a town named Frenier. By 1915, hundreds lived there, including an old woman named Julie Brown. It's been said she sang strange songs about taking half of the town with her when she died. And that's exactly what happened.
This is where the town of Frenier used to be. The hurricane of 1915 swept away the entire city of Frenier. It caused a 30-foot tidal wave that literally washed everyone out. Everyone who was attending her funeral was buried in a mass grave here in the swamp.
Some say that faint screams can be heard coming from the cemetery. That's where the hurricane victims were buried, along with the body of Julie Brown. The Great Mississippi River is what makes New Orleans a lively port town. It's also good for the tourist trade. A visit to the Big Easy wouldn't be complete without an overnight trip on an authentic steamboat. It's called the Delta Queen. When visitors climb aboard this 75-year-old vessel with its original paddle wheel, it's as if they travel back in time. What they don't know is that several employees believe it's haunted by one of America's first female river pilots.
A lady from Marietta, Ohio, her name is Mary Becker, married a gentleman by the name of Gordon Green. Now, Mr. Green ran riverboats. Well, Ms. Green was not one to sit at home and just simply raise her children. She sat on a riverboat and raised her children, and as she was raising them, she also qualified to become a riverboat pilot. In 1895, she received her certification and was among the first female riverboat pilots.
After 55 years as a captain, Mary Green died in her stateroom on the Delta Queen in 1949. Some say her ghost remains, watching over her favorite ship. After 20 years on the Delta Queen, Captain Mike Williams now believes in ghosts.
I've never been a ghost hunter or a person who believed in UFOs or spirits or anything like that. So it took me quite a while with a lot of subtle hints from things happening on the boat before I began to believe and understand that there is something to this old steamboat that has perpetuated it and kept it going for so long. And that has to be the spirit of Captain Mary Green.
Mike insists that Mary Green's ghost introduced him to his wife, Myra. Back in 1986, Myra was a purser and Mike was first mate. Late one night, she asked him to check on an elderly woman in room 109 who had called for help.
I arrived at the cabin here, went to the cabin door and knocked softly and said, "Hello, is anyone there? Do you need some help?" No answer. "Hello, anyone there?"
Mike opened the door. There wasn't a soul in sight. But eerie things were happening up in the purser's office. An elderly woman was watching Myra through a window. Then she vanished. Myra decided to call it a night. As Mike escorted her to her cabin, she stopped and grabbed his arm.
She said, "Hey, wait, that's her right there. That's the lady right there that was just looking at me through the window."
That lady was Captain Mary Green. Stranger still, Mary Green lived and died in room 109. After that, Mike and Myra clicked. They've been married for 15 years.
Somehow, Captain Mary, we believe, brought Myra and I together, somehow knowing that we were suited for each other. So, thank you, Captain Mary.
Another ghostly encounter on the Delta Queen scared Mike out of his wits. It happened one rainy night when he was all alone, sound asleep in his cabin. Something woke him up.
All of a sudden, very close to my ear, I heard a psst, and I actually felt what I thought was a breath of air blown on my ear. Well, it startled the heck out of me, of course, and I fully expecting to see someone standing in my cabin next to me in my room, and there was no one there. So I jumped up and grabbed my flashlight.
Mike searched the vessel for a possible intruder.
I was just about to turn around and go back upstairs and try to go back to sleep when back in the after cabin lounge area, I heard a door slam. And I mean, it was loud. It wasn't just the door creak shut and close. It was bang. And I can still hear that sound of the door slamming, and it didn't just scare the heck out of me. It scared the shit out of me.
Mike continued searching the ship. There was only one room unlocked. 109, Captain Mary's old suite.
Didn't see anything or hear anything unusual until I got down near the engine room, at which point, over the noise of the rain outside, I heard water running inside. And I thought, boy, that's not right. And as I got down into the lower engine room, I discovered there was a large water pipe that was leaking. It had rusted a hole through from the inside, and water was gushing into the lower engine room space at the speed of a fire hose.
Mike made a temporary repair that may have saved the Queen from sinking. He gives credit where credit's due.
I was led down there, I believe, by the spirit of Captain Mary, who woke me and then guided me back that way by slamming the door to her cabin, which had previously been locked.
Captain Mike says he's not the only one who's seen the ghost of Mary Green. In fact, there's one room on board where two separate employees, on two different occasions, saw a ghost. The first was a woman who woke up and saw a ghostly figure walk through a wall. She thought it was a dream. Mike thought so too, until he heard the exact same story from someone else.
At least 5 years later, I was talking to a gentleman who was a musician in our band. And he said, I was down in my cabin last night, and I was awakened by a strange dream. I thought I saw an old lady come through the wall of my room, drift across the room, and just go out through the other wall.
Crew member Marcy Richardson has been with the Delta Queen for 15 years. When she first started, she didn't know that Mary Green disapproved of alcohol. Marcy's ghost story happened on her birthday.
We started out at a table over by the bar and drank quite a bit of everything, all kinds of glasses, ashtrays, everything all over the table. Then we decided that we'd move over to the bar and leave all that at the table.
As soon as they moved, things started flying.
Here we were chatting away, and there's this crash from the table where we had been. All the glasses, everything flew off the table as though somebody had taken their arm and just gone across it and wiped it off.
Marcy believes that Captain Mary was telling her to slow down.
I firmly believe Mary Green is here. I like that she's here. I like being watched out after. And if she gets a little rowdy once in a while, that doesn't hurt anything either. Breaks a glass here or there.
That wasn't the first time Marcy experienced this ghost.
This was my habit to come back here and read every night quite late. And a couple of nights in succession, I saw her walking around back here. So every time I saw her again, I looked a little more closely.
How sure is Marcy of that ghost's identity?
Having looked at the portrait, I have no doubt whatsoever that who I saw was Mary Green. I mean, I would have picked her out of a lineup.
You'd be hard-pressed to find this gentle ghost in a police lineup. But if you've had one too many in the bar on board, beware of flying glasses. It may be Captain Mary Green ordering last call. Coming up, murder, mayhem, and ghost stories at what some claim is the most haunted plantation in America. A ghost show about New Orleans wouldn't be complete if it didn't include what many consider the most haunted plantation in America. It's called the Myrtles. Just head north from the city. It takes about an hour. Some say there are more ghosts per capita here than anywhere else in the country.
Plantations lend themselves to hauntings. Wherever there's great emotion, wherever there's great suffering, wherever there's great love, somehow or another, these things leave a legacy. And that legacy is what we call ghosts.
The Myrtles Plantation was built in 1796, a stunning example of grand Southern architecture. Today, it's a bed and breakfast with old-world charm, broad verandas, crystal chandeliers, garden cherubs, and daily tours.
Hi, come in. Welcome to the Myrtles.
Rumor has it that ghosts are included in your stay at the Myrtles at no extra charge. On Fridays and Saturdays, there's the night tour. It's all about the ghosts, timed just right before guests retire to their rooms. When it comes to spending the night in a haunted bed and breakfast, some visitors want to see the ghosts.
When I called, I asked for the most haunted room. If it was taken, it was the only one left in the house.
It was the only one, so kind of think that it was meant to be.
And some visitors just want out.
I'm scared, I'm having fun, and it's like this tingling feeling. I want to get out of this house.
Would she ever spend the night?
No.
Could be because this little girl heard what she believes were ghosts.
I was in the corner, and I heard a child fall and started crying, and then I heard a lady from this corner walk in and say, "Shh, it's going to be all right."
Ghosts have reportedly been seen in the bedrooms, on the grounds, in the restaurant, on the stairs. Some believe one of these spirits was a slave named Chloe. She lived here in the mid-1800s with her owner, John Woodruff, and his family, until she fell out of favor with her master.
He was having a love affair with his maid, his mistress, his slave, Chloe, and she took a few too many liberties. She became too interested in his life. And one day, she was found eavesdropping on one of his conversations. In order to arrest this type of behavior, he did what he felt was necessary. He cut off one of her ears.
Chloe was banished to the kitchen, a come-down from her former position. She wanted revenge, so she ground up poisonous oleander leaves and baked them in a cake. Some think Chloe had murder on her mind. Others believe she just wanted her old job back.
We believe she decided to do it to make the children ill. Knowing what was wrong, she would take care of them, get her household duties back, and maybe prove she was the person to take care of them.
Whatever her plan, it backfired.
His wife and his children ate the cake. And as a consequence of this, his family was wiped out.
Chloe confessed and was hung from a nearby tree. Since that time, people say they've seen the spirits of Chloe and the girl she poisoned.
All three spirits of the children, their mother, and also Chloe are still here.
Today, Tita Moss and her husband own and operate the Myrtles Plantation. They bought it in 1992, ghost stories and all.
We had done the little mystery tour. Everything was wonderful, but we really didn't think haunted. Now, what does that mean?
It wasn't long before Tita found out what haunted really meant. She claims she took a photo that proves it.
We call it the Chloe picture because it just so resembles the uniform that she wore, the black garb with the turban on her head and the small feather coming out of the top of her turban. You can literally count the boards on the house through her body. When you look in that picture, it really will, it will just raise the hair on the back of your neck.
Shortly after Tita moved into the Myrtles with her family, her son saw his first ghost.
My 2-year-old was in his bedroom, which was here. He called out to me, "Mommy, Mommy, come see the little girl on my chandelier." He couldn't say chandelier, it was just the cutest thing. And I said, "Sweetie, Mommy doesn't see a little girl on the chandelier."
Tita believed him, but wasn't concerned. The chandelier was specifically placed there to guard against evil.
There are 3 angels hanging at the bottom of the chandelier, which protect the room. And on the crown molding, the medallion which the chandelier hangs from has 4 nuns' faces, and according to the architectural log, that was put there to protect the home from evil spirits.
More often than not, guests come down to breakfast with stories about hearing children in the middle of the night.
And they'd say, "Well, I know I heard a child singing last night," or "We heard children playing on the staircase."
Our film crew stayed there overnight to find out if the guests saw any ghosts. We checked on them in the morning.
The first thing I heard of, it sounded like it was children playing. It sounded like they were giggling, and it sounded like it was coming into the room.
Amy Campbell designed the plantation's website. That piqued her curiosity about ghosts. She also braved the night at the Myrtles with a friend.
I woke up feeling a sensation of bouncing on the bed, and I peeked from under the sheets. I had my face buried in the pillow to see a small girl jumping on my bed. And I thought I must be dreaming, so I put my head back in the pillow, peeked again a little bit, and there she was, jumping on the bed. Finally, it stopped. and I looked out of the covers, and a little girl.
Most of the time, the ghost sightings reported by staff and guests at the Myrtles aren't all that scary. After a couple of centuries, they've become part of the plantation's scenery.
You really get used to it. You really get used to things moving. You get used to hearing voices.
There's all kinds of things at this place. You never know what you'll find out.
Anything is possible.
It's a ghostly dormitory, I guess you'd say, in that there's a lot of different activity.
Coming up, a theater in the French Quarter that some say is still haunted by a tragic death. Full of actors in 1922. In fact, some believe that one dedicated actress has stayed on for more than 80 years. Her name is Caroline, and she's a ghost. Legend has it that Caroline was an actress at the theater in the 1920s. She was having an affair with her director. One night after a dress rehearsal, Caroline confronted him. He wanted to end it. She didn't. What happened later is anyone's guess. It's believed that she entered the third-story balcony that borders the inner courtyard of the building. Some say she deliberately jumped. Others say she was pushed. Suicide? Murder? Whatever the cause, Caroline's lifeless body was found the next morning, still in costume. Over the years, several people working at Les Petites Theater swear they've seen Caroline's ghost or heard her voice, like actor Mike Sullivan.
I was rushing down these stairs after a performance one night, and when I got to the bottom of the stairs, I heard a woman's voice behind me at the top of the stairs by the Coke machine call, "Michael." So I turned around, and there was nobody there.
Moments later, Michael says he heard the voice a second time, from the opposite direction.
I heard the same voice again behind me now at the bottom of the stairs say, "Your jacket." And I realized I'd forgotten it. And I told the stage manager, and she told me, "Oh, that's Caroline the ghost. She's friendly and helpful."
Former technical director Stephen Thurber maintains that he's seen Caroline's ghost in the central courtyard of the theater, near the fountain where she died.
I was sitting in this chair here having lunch, and I looked up, and in the bench behind me, there was Caroline. I remember she just looked up and smiled at me. And it brightened my day after a long day at work.
Stephen wasn't always a believer, but Caroline's ghostly charm changed that.
Until I worked here, I didn't believe in any of this. And now I believe she's just a being of some kind. Obviously not of this world. What she is exactly, I don't know.
Stories about Caroline's ghost can be unsettling for new actors, like Travis Reeser.
If you're just fresh off the street and, it's your first show, you wonder who's Caroline, and you'll hear later Caroline's a ghost. So some of it you can believe, some of it you can't. Some is just really, it really creeps you out.
It's been said that Caroline's ghost hangs out in the attic, where all the props are stored. It took Travis just a few minutes there to separate fact from fiction.
Well, what happened basically, I came up here one day because we were doing rehearsals and we need some props up here.
It had been a long day. Travis decided to take a break.
Well, so I decided to take a sit down on this chair right here. And when I got up to go leave, I had left my pager.
According to Travis, this incident happened in a split second.
And when I looked down, I saw the dust marks where the chair was, and it had moved. I just got my pager and I got out of there because it really creeped me out. As you can see, this place is really dark and it's really scary. I mean, I believe in ghosts now. I mean, from that experience, because it's so hard to explain. It's like, it has to be. It has to be.
Another area of Les Petites Theater that's said to be haunted is the Stack Room.
This is the Stack Room. It's one of the oldest parts of the building. As you can see, it's very, very dark. This is where we store all of our scenery for the shows. This is one of those places where you don't want to go by yourself at night.
It's here that employees say they've seen a ghost they call Sigmund.
The story behind Sigmund is that he lived his years out and died very happily of old age and worked here on the stage till right before he passed away.
Stephen thinks he goes too far in staking out his territory.
frequently you'll hear things, going bump in the night, so to speak, and no one's back here. More than one time, walls have moved somehow and fallen on us while we were in here. Nobody got hurt, but it's a little startling.
One of Stephen's most memorable encounters allegedly occurred hours before an important production.
One morning, after working all night, and myself and another colleague are the only people with the keys to the theater, we came in to discover one of Sigmund's best practical pranks that he's ever done to us, which is directly over our head. There's a lighting position with all of our lights cabled and circuited. There's no way to get to that except from a very old 1950s or 60s wooden A-frame ladder, which is very heavy and hard to move. We came in that morning. No one else has been in the building. We know this for a fact. And every instrument was unplugged. Cables just like these, which are our lighting cables, they're all numbered and are in a certain order to running each dimmer. Most of them were undone, some repatched into different numbers.
It took over 3 hours to fix the lights. More than 150 years before Le Petit Theater was established, a mansion stood on the site, first built in 1794.
One day the mansion caught on fire, and one of the slaves was being punished and was locked in a room, which is now where one of our dressing rooms is, and the slave died, was burned to death.
Stephen was walking through this room with 2 other theater technicians when his sixth sense kicked in.
I just was very scared. For some reason, just had a very bad feeling about walking through this doorway. I don't know why. It's just something told me not to go through there. Well, of course, my 2 friends went ahead and opened the door.
What came through that door scared everyone half to death.
I saw the image of a large black man in a white flowing shirt running full speed straight towards me. Next thing I know, I'm on the floor with a cut lip, bleeding, and the 2 other gentlemen informed me that the ghost just ran right through me and then out the door that I just walked in on the other side of the room, slamming that door.
How does Stephen rate this ghostly encounter?
Probably one of the scariest things, if not the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. And to this day, as I'm standing here talking to you, I don't like being in here. And I always avoid coming in here when I come to this building.
Whether or not these ghosts are real, cast and crew at Le Petit are convinced there's something haunting about their theater. Coming up, both staff and visitors in this 4-star hotel swear it's haunted by a phantom nun. Mardi Gras, voodoo, jazz. The motto in this southern city is live life to its fullest. And now is as good a time as any. Maybe that's why New Orleans is called the Big Easy. It's easy to stay on in this city, even after you've crossed over to the other side.
A lot of the ghosts in New Orleans do revolve around romance and gaiety and such as that, because it is a romantic, mystical kind of a city.
The Bourbon Orleans, a hotel in the French Quarter, has luxurious rooms, 2-story suites, and a grand ballroom built in 1815. The original buildings housed operas, dances, and Catholic masses. The hotel has had a varied history, and today it supposedly has the ghosts to prove it.
The most haunted hotel in New Orleans is the Bourbon Orleans. If you're looking for a haunting, give this one a try. The rooms are a bit expensive, but you get what you pay for because it's a very nice hotel with excellent food. Bloody Marys are great.
Ron Leger is a concierge at the hotel. He's heard plenty of stories, like the one about the Confederate soldier that haunts the 3rd floor.
This is the ballroom foyer. This is where I'm told by a number of people that they encounter the presence of a Confederate ghost walking up and down here, or actually see him sometimes wandering out by the guest rooms. And I had one lady tell me, I wish he'd stop walking up and down outside my room.
Could this be the same ghostly soldier that's said to appear in the grand ballroom of the hotel? Legend has it that a beautiful young woman nursed a Confederate soldier back to health here during the Civil War. They fell in love. Richard Thomas is a bell captain at the hotel.
They promised that after the war they would meet up here again and get married. But evidently he died, and it's said that her ghost and his ghost meets up here for a reunion. Some of the voodoo priestesses say that they've felt a presence here in the ballroom, and some of them get the feeling that they do a waltz around here.
The ghosts most frequently seen throughout the hotel are nuns. In 1881, the building was home to the first order of African American nuns in Louisiana. For more than 80 years, the nuns ran an orphanage and school here. That ended in 1964 when the building was renovated into a 4-star hotel. Kalila Smith is an author and owns Haunted History Tours.
There have been ghosts of nuns seen throughout the Bourbon Orleans from time to time, so we believe that they're probably here still watching over the children as they did during their life.
Charlotte Turner has been a housekeeper at the Bourbon Orleans for 17 years. She claims that it's one haunted hotel.
I do see things sometimes, but I don't like to spread it around, you know. Just trying to be cool with it.
According to Charlotte, the 6th floor has a resident nun that appears and disappears at will.
I see a lot of people who come down this floor, but then after that, I don't see them no more, you know.
Some think the 6th floor is the most haunted of all. Maybe that's why bellman Sean Roussel stops at 5.
That 6th floor, every time I used to deliver in the morning, there's always was footsteps behind me. And when I turn around, there's nothing there.
For a few guests, like Joyce and Bobby Sala, these stories are an invitation to go ghost hunting.
I'm going up there tonight at 2 o'clock in the morning because they said it's very cold. You freeze when you go up there, and I'm definitely going up there tonight.
On other floors of the hotel, people say they've seen phantom children.
There's documents of case after case of hauntings all throughout the different buildings here at the Bourbon Orleans. And many of these ghosts are the ghosts of children. Children have been seen walking or running in the halls. Many of the hauntings are very childlike in nature, water turning on and off, lights flickering.
Apparently one of these ghosts is a young girl.
Some people have reported her having a doll with her. Others report that she's chasing a ball, but she is seen oftentimes out of the corner of someone's eyes, racing down the hall, and she disappears into one of the walls.
She looked at me, I looked at her, but at the same time, she said it, I said, did you hear the kids? She said, I don't know if it was a basketball or whatever, I heard a ball bouncing too.
It's been said that these ghostly children also haunt busboys in the hotel's restaurant.
Here we are in the Cafe Rue Orleans, our dining room, and this is the area where I've heard various stories about busboys that have claimed that a ghost came up behind them and would pull on the back of their coat tail, and they'd turn around and nobody was there. And a lot of them had this happen to them. So how else do you explain it? It's got to be a ghost.
Why would these happy ghosts haunt the Bourbon Orleans Hotel?
There were yellow fever epidemics back in those years, and people are supposed to have passed away or died, and many of them were children, so they could be the spirits of these children that are still prancing around playing pranks.
Not all ghosts at the Bourbon Orleans are playful. Employees say that a cook taking a cigarette break on the back stairs had a frightening encounter.
He was sitting on these stairs, and somebody came up and hit him on the back very hard, and he turned around and nobody was there. And he was so panicked, he literally left, and he never came back, ever.
This particular ghost has been known to strike before.
There was a carpenter doing some repair work on the staircases, and he inadvertently whacked himself on the thumb with his hammer. Now, of course, he shouted out some profanity, and he was immediately smacked in the face. Now, I assume he probably got slapped by one of the nuns who didn't appreciate that sort of talk around the children.
Then there's the night a young executive from Atlanta had a terrifying encounter with a ghost in room 371. Sean Roussel was the bellman on duty.
There's a phone in the bathroom, and she called down, and she just asked someone to come up as quick as possible. And we knocked on the door, and she said, "Who is it?" And she wanted us to identify ourselves because she wasn't coming out that bathroom. She said it was a nun standing over her, looking at her. The young lady's face was just horrible looking. White as a ghost. I knew for a fact this lady saw something. And I mean, I heard different stories and stuff like that, but this story I knew from the horse's mouth. It was true.
Coming up, a local who believes she caught a ghost on tape in the French Quarter. You'll find all kinds of entertainment in the city of New Orleans, like the haunted history tours of the French Quarter. Kalila Smith is the owner. One of her favorite stops is the Bottom of the Cup Tea Room. Strange as it may sound, this establishment isn't just about drinking tea. It's about browsing the gift shop, buying voodoo souvenirs, and paying a psychic to read your tea leaves. Some say it even has its own ghost.
So while you're in New Orleans, you might want to definitely check this place out, particularly since many people who go in for a reading will experience the ghost of Julie.
According to legend, a woman named Julie lived in this 3-story building sometime in the early 1800s with her lover. She was part African American. He was a rich white Southern gentleman.
Julie was given everything that any woman could possibly ever want. She had jewelry, clothing from Paris, perfumes, but Julie was dissatisfied. She wanted to be his wife. It was the one thing that she could not have.
Back then, interracial marriages were against the law.
She began to badger him daily. Marry me. Why won't you marry me? Now, he wanted to put an end to this. So he devised this plan to offer her an ultimatum, something so outlandish that she would, of course, turn it down. He said, if on this night you will go up on the roof with not one stitch of clothing on, only my love to keep you warm, prove to me that you are worthy to be my wife. And by doing this, I will marry you.
Believing she'd never carry out his outrageous plan, he gave it no more thought.
One of his friends showed up. They played chess, smoked cigars, probably drank some absinthe.
While her lover was entertaining downstairs, Julie was upstairs, taking off her clothes before heading to the roof. The temperature was close to freezing.
And after quite a few hours of mutual entertainment, he decided to go upstairs for some feminine entertainment. So he searched for her, and in his mind, I'm sure he must have thought she couldn't possibly have taken me seriously. He went out on the roof, searched for her, and found her crumpled body frozen and dead.
She was totally nude. Julie literally died from exposure that night, waiting to be a bride.
Her lover was devastated.
He didn't realize that she was capable of carrying herself to the doors of death for him. And she did, and beyond.
Today, it's said the ghost of Julie and her lover haunt this building. The upper levels are now private apartments. The first floor houses the Bottom of the Cup Tea Room.
They've seen a gentleman sitting downstairs, smoking cigars, and looking very heartbroken and looking very sad.
But it's Julie's ghost that visitors come to see.
She is considered to be the most active haunting in the French Quarter. If you just as much go into the Bottom of the Cup and start talking about Julie, Julie starts to appear. Many people have seen Julie out of the corner of their eye. They've heard her laugh. They've heard her cry.
It's been said that her ghost appears like clockwork.
Many people call her the most predictable ghost because she'll show up on the roof the coldest night of the year.
Now, Julie's an interesting kind of a ghost in that she, well, pretty much fits a pattern. She shows up in December, very cold months, and walks around, doesn't interact with anyone, and then goes back to wherever she came.
Sometimes these ghost sightings have been disturbing.
People have called the police, and to no avail, because when they showed up, she wasn't there. She had returned to the netherworld.
The presence of Julie's ghost has also been reported in what's known as the historic Angel Courtyard in the center of the building. These hand-carved angels have kept vigil here for years. Tom Mullen owns this building.
They are absolutely special to this building. They've been with the building since the 20s that I know of. It's probably earlier than that.
The Angels happen to be located in what's believed to be the most haunted part of this building. Inside this courtyard is a child's swing. No one really knows how long it's been there.
I've, been around the building for about 30 years, and that swing has always been there.
Some say the swing can move all by itself. Others believe this wooden swing and Julie's ghost are connected in some bizarre way.
If anyone as much touches that swing, Julie starts to get very, very upset, and things start really happening around the bottom of the cup.
Tom Mullen has experienced some of these mysterious happenings firsthand.
We were working back here, and my worker removed the swing and put it in my warehouse. And all the work we were doing was going wrong. We were having a lot of problems. And I happened to notice the swing was gone. And I asked him, my guy, where is this swing? So immediately we ran and got it out of the warehouse. And all I can say is after we put the swing up, not one problem since. So if that swing's going to stay there, I think I'm going to put a lock and key on it and nobody's going to take it down.
That wasn't the only day Tom encountered Julie's ghost. He was renovating the courtyard when he sensed someone.
Something brushed my arm and just actually rushed behind me. I could feel the hair on my arm to my neck. And as I looked up the stairway, I saw Julie turning the corner of the stairway. Big white gown, flowing gown, and it was there. It was there. And it was amazing.
You will be a bride.
Kalila Smith says she also had an amazing experience with a ghost at the bottom of the Cup Tea Room. In the fall of 2000, she and some fellow ghost hunters were investigating reported hauntings in the basement. Apparently, they caught the ghost on tape. We'll let you be the judge.
We've got actual video footage of something in one of the dark rooms where the renovations were going on. We went into it and kind of pushed a door open, and suddenly there are little orbs floating around, and they float away from the camera and then back to the camera.
Oh! Guys, come see! I got orbs! Look at it!
Floating orbs, a phantom on the stairs. Tom Mullen says it's no big deal to have a resident ghost.
It's always very peaceful, very calming, and it's just nothing bad. So, thank God for that, because I'd hate to have a bad ghost here.
No one really knows if this tea room or any location in the city is haunted. But given the party atmosphere, great food, and good music, it's worth a trip to New Orleans to find out.
Hi, Tracy Gallagher for the Travel Channel. I'm here at SpookyHouse.com, where scaring you silly is serious business. From the zombie shuffle to blood-curdling screams. These guys are frighteningly good. And if you're looking for more spine-tingling thrills, come see what's brewing when Melissa Joan Hart hosts Haunted Travels Week. Continuing next, only on the Travel Channel.